Microdosing means, you won't really experience, hallucinations or altered state. Instead, it's really about, how these small amounts can, one, enhance your mood and emotional balance, two, help you focus and have more creativity and problem solving, and three, increasing that self-awareness and personal growth. So it's really not about tripping or the recreational use of it. And so instead, the invitation here is think of it as a tool for optimizing your well-being and for deep healing.
Welcome, tribe. I'm Maya Rose.
And I'm Gerald Rogers. We're about to embark on another mind-expanding episode where we dive deep into the realms of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
This is a transformational experience of healing, manifestation, increased clarity, flow, and alignment.
So join us on this sacred journey as we receive the codes of transformation from scientists and psychonauts, shamans, tantra masters, mystics, and more.
Together, we'll unravel the secrets of plant medicine, sex magic, and other tools to tap into higher states of consciousness.
So why are we here? To answer the call, to share our passions and be advocates for alternative healing.
So get ready for a ride that transcends the ordinary and leads you to the extraordinary, because living a legendary life is not just a choice.
It's a sacred adventure.
Welcome today to Psychedelics, Sex, and the Superconscious. And today I have a very special guest, Jemie Sae Koo, and she runs Psychable.com. But what I'm really excited about for our conversation today, Jemie, is you are launching actually a 10-week program about microdosing. And this is I think something that's really hot right now. And a lot of people are wondering about psychedelics, like, how do I use microdosing? And not everybody wants to have this big, long journey and experience, but they want to get the benefits of psychedelics and how to use it in their everyday life. So I'm really excited for this conversation today. And I want to jump right in by having you share a little bit about this program that you've developed. Like, what is it? Why did you do it? What's the whole premises of the protocol?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Maya Rose, for having me here. Such an honor and a privilege. Yeah, so just to rewind, Psychable's mission is to empower millions of individuals who are seeking the healing properties of psychedelics by providing access to thousands of psychedelic practitioners. We're providing education and really a supportive community. So in addition to that, we're offering a vast library of medically reviewed articles written by subject matter experts and really a comprehensive suite of support, all the way from programs and courses on preparation, customized plans for psychedelic therapy, and all the way to offering our unique method around integration, which we'll kind of get into later in our podcast. But I think what's really important to also name is that those that are new to my work, I have a background with a master's degree in the field of psychology, specializing in psychedelic-assisted therapy. I serve as a psychedelic facilitator and integration specialist at a leading ibogaine clinic. And concurrently, I also have a private practice where I've worked with hundreds of clients navigating particularly around depression, anxiety, PTSD, trauma, and addiction, really helping blend the science-backed Western approaches with indigenous healing practices. So a lot of my focus has been addressing healing at the root cause by incorporating psychedelic nutrition, environmental, relational, and holistic practices, really to help the individual heal and thrive in today's modern world. So, that is the big, I would say, the context as to how we came forward with the microdosing method. It has been a beautiful collaboration with a church called Setas Seminary. And really, church means a space for deep spiritual exploration in working with sacred medicine. And it really, brings in the aspect of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act of 1993, which really enables one to practice with in sincere spiritual practice with sacred medicine, and providing an additional layer of safety and protection. So Setas Seminary and Psychable came together to develop a 10-week program, really to provide a best-in-class program designed to help you fully integrate microdosing and supportive lifestyle tools with expert guidance and personalized support.
Right.
And so much of this is to bring in the education around what microdosing is and how it works, And how do we do it in the way that provides an optimal experience grounded in safety, intentionality, and doing it in a more spiritually aligned way? What the neuroscience is behind it, and what are the best practices for safety and effectiveness, and also how lifestyle and integration tools can really help one's support one's longer lasting result to really achieving what your goals are.
What I love about this so much is, first of all, your background in this. And I think a lot of people hear about microdosing. They aren't quite sure what to do. They don't know the direction to go. They're looking for some guidance. And really, you have dedicated a lot of time and invested a lot of energy into really understanding psychedelics and understanding the human psyche and understanding how this helps people heal. And I think, the biggest question people have when they're thinking about microdosing is, how do I do it? How do I do it safely? How do I do it effectively? And the other thing that I really love that you're incorporating is the spiritual aspect of it too, because I think any experience with psychedelics can be really spiritual, even that microdosing component, and then the healing component too. So when we talk about microdosing, I know there's a lot of different types of medicine that people can microdose. I've heard microdosing psilocybin, microdosing LSD, microdosing with chuma. So I'd love for you to just address what kind of substances are in this microdosing protocol and really why following this program can be safe and effective for individuals.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what we first have to realize is we are a reflection of nature, right? And if we are a reflection of nature, we see that nature oftentimes provides us things that are helpful and things that are harmful, right? And so we have to also understand that everything in nature has a frequency, it carries an energy. We're made of energy. So anytime we are choosing to enter a relationship with nature, we have to really come to it with a lot more awareness and really respect and reverence, right? Just like we're entering into a new friendship, for example. If you want the best outcome of a relationship, be it a friendship or, or a working relationship or a partnership, you enter it with respect and reverence. And so it's very similar and akin to the way we enter into a relationship with plants, plant medicines, psychedelics. And so when we look at microdosing, at its core, the practice of microdosing is really just taking a very small self-perceptual dose of psychedelics. And in this instance, with the microdosing method program, we're specifically working with psilocybin. And microdosing means, you won't really experience, hallucinations or altered state. Instead, it's really about, how these small amounts can, one, enhance your mood and emotional balance, two, help you focus and have more creativity and problem solving, and three, increasing that self-awareness and personal growth. So it's really not about tripping or the recreational use of it. And so instead, the invitation here is think of it as a tool for optimizing your well-being and for deep healing. And so, when we working it with psilocybin, for example, depending on the strain, microdoses generally range from 50 to 500 milligrams. And with our specific protocol in TMM, we use 200 milligrams with our pairings. And we have three different kinds of pairing depending on your goals, what you're focused on. Do you want calm? Do you want more introspection? Do you want more flow? Right. So it just depends on what area of your life and what your goals are that you're focusing on. And like I said, microdosing is a sacred practice. And so, this practice has been applied by the indigenous communities and cultures for arguably not only centuries, but millennia. And so, with modern science today confirming that these traditions have known all along, these medicines have profound healing potential when used with intention. And
Mm.
so, we know that even with the clients that we work with, many of our clients and people are turning to microdosing to help them reduce symptoms of anxiety, depression, chronic stress, helping them overcome any sort of creative blocks, helping them improve productivity, deepening their spiritual and emotional connections. So, what I'll say about microdosing is that it's such a beautiful, intentional, and gentle practice. And when combined with the integration techniques, that we have come forward with our microdosing method program, it has proven to work with thousands of individuals to be just such a powerful catalyst for profound and lasting change.
Wow. Well, what I really love about that is what I'm hearing you say is this is something that's actually individualized. So depending on the person's goal. So someone like me, just
Mm.
let's say for example, so I was diagnosed with OCD when I was younger. I've struggled with anxiety throughout my life, and psychedelics have helped a lot with that. But actually, I've never really experienced microdosing before. I've done it maybe here or there, but maybe like a one-time thing. And from what I understand, it's something that you need to do for an extended period of time to really see the effects. So, like if I were to come to you and I say, Jemie, I want to have more flow state in my life. Like I want to be able to create greater flow. I have a history of anxiety
Mhm.
and I'm wanting to use microdosing to help calm my nervous system, but also increase my flow. Based on that information, would you be able to tailor the dosage and the usage based on my individual needs?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, I think what's really important is generally when you're coming to this work for the first time, what we oftentimes recommend is at least microdose for the first 30 days. Right. And there are certain protocols out there, like the James Bannon protocol. There's tapering, going 3 days on, 3 days off, one day on, one day off. But I think fundamentally for us, our approach is first of all grounded in the fact that, the body has its innate intelligence, and there really is no expert or guru on how to heal you. You are the only one that lives in your body, so you actually know how to heal yourself the best. And so like as practitioners, we're coming in and we're co-creating, we're co-collaborating with you. We're providing framework and guidance and tools, but ultimately it's a lot of A/B testing of what works and what doesn't work for you. So in the optimal way, oftentimes what we really try to empower our clients to do is do it really intuitively. So we have like step-by-step process in terms of, even into your first time, what does that checklist look like? Do you have your sage, your Palo Santo? Are you fasting the night before at 8 p.m. all the way to the next morning? Coming into the microdosing practice, staying fasted, just keeping your body clean and pure. 3 days prior, staying on a vegan or vegetarian meal, right? And like, eliminating all the spices, right? How do we come into this sacred practice with a lot of that respect and that reverence that I talked about?
Mm.
And part of it too is just resourcing the individual around tuning in. Do I feel a calling? How does this medicine even feel in my hand? Do I feel a vibrational resonance? Oftentimes clients can hold the psilocybin in their hands and they can feel sometimes a tingling sensation. They can feel like a surge of excitement. They can feel, yeah, just this like burst of joy all of a sudden, right? And so, or they can feel this like immediate sense of calm. So a lot of the practice that we are really empowering our clients with is how do you just do this in a really intuitive way, tuning in, feeling, sensing, and then just asking yourself, being with the medicine, speaking prayer, speaking intention, and also how does this medicine feel when I'm holding in my hand? Do I feel called to it? Is this something that can feel supportive to me? And just to listen for the answer. And
Mm.
oftentimes there's a subtle sensation, there's a subtle yes, there's a subtle reaction in the body that's a positive one. And so when those things happen, then again, you're like, it's that entering into that relationship, that cultivating, it's the fostering that beautiful relationship with the medicine. And
Mm.
then before you take it, we oftentimes ask clients to, be very cognizant around setting an intention. Again, we're all energy. So everything reverberates from that energy. And so coming into that practice with microdosing, keeping in that calm state, and then speaking the intentions of oftentimes I say the 3P, making it precise, presence it as if it has already happened or is happening, and making it precise. So an example can be like, I am love, I am courage, I am peace, I am divine, right? And like really setting and speaking those intentions, and then inviting a little prayer or protection, and then taking the microdose. So again, this is a very, an approach that's very beautiful, gentle, and also very intentional.
Yeah, and I love adding the intention around microdosing. I think in my conversations with people, that's something that's been missing when it comes to microdosing. And really, when it comes down to it, I feel like psychedelics are best when they empower us, when we feel like we're really choosing like what we want our experience to be with psychedelics. And I think one of the biggest fears that a lot of people have is that they'll feel out of control, or
Mhm.
that something's gonna happen and they aren't gonna know what it is, and it's gonna bring something big up, and they're gonna lose control of their emotions or lose control of their functions in their body. And so what I love about this is feeling like, no, I'm in the driver's seat and I'm partnering with
Mm.
this medicine. And again, just the power of intention, even with microdosing. And a lot of my conversations with people, I think they're looking to the medicine to fix something in them, but in that, they're giving away some of their power. And really, we are the medicine. And I heard that so much in what you were saying is by being intentional, even when we're microdosing, whether we're going into big experience or whether microdosing, building the relationship with the medicine, setting the intention, making sure that we are in control of the experience that we want to have, and then that healing is going to come. So I love everything you're saying, and I think the biggest standout to me so far is just adding in the spirituality and the intentionality around microdosing. And it's not like Adderall or an anti-anxiety medicine where you go in and you get a prescription at the pharmacy and you take it and you're like, okay, I'm expecting this to fix what's wrong with me. This is, again, just more of a partnership. So I'd really love to dive into who microdosing is for. Who are the people that you've seen the biggest results or benefits with? Like if someone's listening right now and they're wondering, should I do microdosing? Should I not? Who is this for?
Yes. Like I said, a lot of our clients that we work with when it comes to microdosing are a lot of times dealing with depression, anxiety, PTSD, trauma, addiction issues, all types of physical and mental ailments. And, I think we need to also understand the science behind it. So that way you understand, like, is this for me? So psilocybin, magic mushrooms, is oftentimes metabolized into psilocin, which really closely resembles the serotonin. And so what it does, it binds to the 5-HT2A receptors in the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which triggers this cascade of cellular events that oftentimes promotes neuroplasticity. And it's all it is, enabling the brain's ability to form new neural pathways, new connection. And it can also enhance cognition. It can enhance and modulate emotions. It can help with your perception, really deepen introspection. And, all this really help breaks through negative loop patterns. Oftentimes you can find yourself in this like washing machine of thoughts, and it just keeps cycling back, over and over. And so it can help break that rumination. It can enhance that emotional flexibility and resilience. Sometimes life just can feel really overwhelming and so much all at once. And so what it can do is just bring you back into that center. And it also can help support recovery from mental health conditions like depression, like anxiety. And I think what's really important to name here is that oftentimes in the indigenous lens, they look to anxiety and depression as a calling towards a deeper state of being, a deeper awareness. Some may also say that depression or anxiety is your body oftentimes communicating with you that something is not in alignment or something is really off. Some even say that depression is a misalignment with one's soul. So, what's really beautiful about microdosing is that it oftentimes can cut right into the truth of the matter. So if you're just like, feeling like the world is just sweeping you away and you're just drowning with all of these like, you know, daily life matters and it's just feeling really overwhelmed, microdosing just brings you back into center. So microdosing is one of the safest practice with respect to psilocybin, and it can oftentimes be one of the only psychedelics that you can use when trying to even taper off antidepressants and SSRIs. So the application with microdosing psilocybin is broad in range. And again, it just focuses a lot in on what is your goal? Is your goal on healing? Is your goal on wellness and well-being? It has such a broad application, and it also can, even from your physical aspect, help reduce inflammation in the body. So we know that chronic stress and mental health conditions can lead and link into inflammation, neuroinflammation. So the psilocin reduces the inflammation in the body and really helps, and also help with disrupting the what we call the default mode network, that thought pattern, and also help then create new space for new perspectives and helping reduce any sort of mental blocks and whatnot. So
I love that. I've got a cranky knee right now, and I'm like, ooh, maybe if I do some microdosing, it's gonna release the inflammation. That was an exciting benefit. Yeah, I think this is a really valuable conversation. And I think one of the things that I want to talk and just touch lightly on is microdosing versus prescription medication. And with the basis that, sometimes there are going to be times when prescription medication is the right route for somebody to go. But I noticed that with some prescription medication, there can be sometimes this addictive pattern with it, or sometimes there's side effects when you are going to, say, a prescription medication versus psychedelics. And so I would love for you just to briefly address that. What are the benefits of microdosing versus some kind of a pharmaceutical or prescription medication?
yeah, I think first of all, we need to zoom out on the macro, right? When we're talking about big pharma, I mean, we're talking about $1 trillion industry. And so these are like huge empires, and you better be sure that their number one agenda isn't for your healing. It's not for your well-being, unfortunately. It's that it's about the bottom line. So, just calling a spade here. But, one of the things that oftentimes people are like, well, why isn't, plant medicine legalized? Well, you can't patent nature.
Mhm.
And there's not a lot of money to be made in terms of that. And oftentimes what ends up happening is, some pharmaceutical companies comes in and it extracts the molecules out of the plants, and then it manipulates the molecules so that it can actually patent that thing. So, there's an aspect of it where man coming in messing with nature. And while it serves everything has its place, and I'm not poo-pooing one or the other. I think allopathic and Western medicine has its place. If you get hit by a car and you break a leg, go to the emergency room and like get sewn up. Like absolutely. But we have clients who are surgeons, doctors, nurses who have in very closed room environments admitted to us that, you know, a lot of what we're doing here, you would think that they would teach in medical school, but they don't. And a lot of what the allopathic and Western world often addresses is symptom management. So while if you are in a deep state of depression and you need just something to lift you up, yeah, perhaps the pharmaceutical route is the way to go to just get some reprieve, but it's not going to go down to the root cause. And I think that's what we have to understand is that just masking the symptoms and putting a Band-Aid on it doesn't mean that it's going to actually, solve the persisting issues, right? That's underneath the surface. So we need to go into the root cause level. We need to start looking at, okay, what are the things that are actually underneath that depression, underneath the trauma, underneath the anxieties. And there are studies now showing that psilocybin with Lexapro outperforms the results of taking an antidepressant. So, we also have to understand that there has been no innovation in antidepressants or SSRIs as it relates to addressing anxiety, depression for 5 decades. There have been no innovation. right? So we're talking about 50 years ago was when SSRIs and antidepressants came out. And a lot is happening now. And there's a lot of invisible forces at play that are oftentimes disconnecting us from our body. And this is where we're bringing in the lifestyle tools, where we have what we call the 12 foundational principles to help you not only heal, but to thrive in today's modern world. And we have to understand that we're no longer living in the world that our parents and our grandparents grew up. We're living in 2025. And so what are those invisible forces at play? I mean, I won't go through all 12, but I will just name a few really big ones. Nutrition, for example, anything mass produced at that level is compromised in one way or another. You have high levels of glyphosate, which is essentially weed killer, Roundup. It's a toxic chemical, right? We're putting more toxic burden into our body. They're spraying all the crops with that. They're spraying all of our fruits and vegetables with that. Meats are being compromised too with a lot of, God knows what they're injecting, vaccines, mRNA in there without having to disclose it, right? What are the ultimate implications on their human body? I mean, it can be very dismal. So what we oftentimes encourage clients to do is source as closely to your locale as possible. Get to know your farmer markets, get to know your vendors, ask the right questions. Are you spraying your crops? How do you raise your meat, right? So we want to do organic, gluten-free, lectin-free, grass-fed meats, alcohol-free, sugar-free. Why? Because we want to reduce the inflammation in the body. And studies have shown that there is a direct correlation between inflammation and depression, anxiety. And so we need to look at ways of how do we decrease the inflammation in the body so that the body can start to actually heal itself, because the body is always in a constant state of healing. We just have to give it a fighting chance, right? And so we keep putting toxic stuff into our body. What ends up happening is, the metaphor we use is that it's like a car, but it's like one of the wheels is stuck in the mud and you're just trying to get out of that mud, but the wheels are just spinning. But when we start removing all of these factors that are creating that overburden of the toxins in the body, then you're able to unstuck the wheel and the car can move forward, right? So the body can move forward to heal itself. So yeah, I would say nutrition is a major, major factor. I think the other thing is detoxing the body and doing parasite cleanse. And this really has to be a way of life, right? Because what we're seeing is that our air is very polluted. Our water system is one of the most toxic water in the water system, high levels of PFA, forever chemicals, high levels of heavy metals, right? Again, all producing and putting more toxic burden in our body. So how do we reduce that? By detoxing the body. And what we want to do is detox the body on a monthly basis. Some do it every full moon, and parasite cleanse. What we have to understand is that, again, in the Western world and the allopathic world, they think that parasites don't exist in the first world. Parasites are everywhere. They come by way of our food, our water, through the air that we breathe. There's parasitic eggs that are so small and so fine that it's floating in the air. You can actually breathe that in. You can walk on the ground and barefoot and you can pick up parasites. If you have a furry baby animal in your house, the parasitic infections increase exponentially. And the parasites can be shared in the family unit as well and between partners. And so what we're seeing with parasites is parasites can, one, manipulate behavior. Two, it can simulate anxiety, depression, and mask autoimmune issues and diseases. And parasites are the first to receive all of the nutrients in your body. And so as you might be eating the best, most organic grass-fed foods, you're not getting all of the nutrition. And so as we are microdosing, yes, that's one component to the whole. We still need to recognize that we are of our mind, our body, our soul, and our spirit. And we have to address it on a multi-level, multi-layered approach.
Yeah, what I really love about you and the programs and this microdosing program specifically is the way that you do teach that, is that it's a holistic approach and point of view, and it's about a lifestyle change. And I think that the thing that keeps coming to my mind is the difference between transformation and transmutation. So transformation, I think, like Transformers, like the movie, where they could change back and forth between these cars and robots. And I think a lot of the time when we're using Western medicine or we're using prescriptions, it's like something can be fixed for a while, but then as soon as you stop taking that thing, you go back to the way you were before. So really you're dependent on something for your performance. And really what you're talking about is if we make these lifestyle changes, if we're aware of the things in our environment, if we intentionally use microdosing or psychedelics, that this is something that can transmute, meaning that you change and don't go back. You
Right.
become something different. And so you're no longer affected by those old programs or no longer affected by the inflammation in your body. And this is something that I've been a student of my entire life, and I've seen things happen with the lifestyle changes, such as I used to be diagnosed with asthma, pretty severe asthma, and I no longer have any symptoms of asthma. I used to have seasonal allergies and was diagnosed with having seasonal allergies and would have to be on allergy medicine. And through my lifestyle changes, I no longer have any symptoms of seasonal allergies. So it really is possible. And the other thing I really like about the microdosing protocols, when you do this holistically, you aren't dependent on the protocol. It's not like you have to do microdosing every day for the rest of your life, or else you're going to go back and experience these things. It's something where if you have an intention, you make the holistic changes in your life with the aid of microdosing in partnership with these plant medicines. You can actually transmute. You can let go and release forever some of the things that you have been struggling with. And so, that's really, really an important thing, I think, to hear. And it empowers us. Like, I get to be the creator of my life. I get to decide how I want to feel and how I want to approach things and what stories I want to have and what feelings and emotions are going through my body. And it really is a lot about the awareness. And the other thing I really like about what you're saying, and also this microdosing protocol, is I hear there's two components. One is the healing component, right? Really getting to the root of the issue, transmuting, changing the thought patterns, getting out of the loop, healing the body. But the other one is this idea of optimized performance. So really understanding what our bodies, our minds, our spirits are capable of, and using the tools that we have, and we've learned these natural plant medicines, things that we learn about our body, the foods that we eat, the environments that we put ourselves in, to really optimize who we are, to step into the very best versions of ourselves, so that when we wake up in the morning, so that when we show up in our families, in our works, in our creations that we're going to do, in the fun things that we explore, in the vacations we have, we feel our best and we get to fully enjoy it. And another thing I think is really important about this is I always use this analogy. I feel like you mentioned vibration earlier, is that we're constantly vibrating at a certain state in our life. And I like to think of a scale between 1 to 10. And maybe we're vibrating at a 1, which is like, I don't even want to get out of bed. Life sucks. Like our whole vibration is down. Our body feels hurt and depressed, versus a 10 where we jump out of bed in the morning and we're like, let's go. And we feel fantastic and great. And we're ready to face things head on. And we're always vibrating somewhere in between that. And the goal, of course, is to get to higher vibrational frequencies and also honor the emotions and whatever we're experiencing. But what I really love about this is that when we encounter these struggles or face these problems in our life, whether it be an unexpected bill or an injury or whatever that is, if we're vibrating at a level 1 or 2 and we encounter a level 5 or 6 problem, that problem's always going to seem overwhelming and bigger than we are. But if we're vibrating at this higher state, if we have optimal vibration in our physical or mental or spiritual health, then when we encounter that 5 or 6 problem, if we're vibrating at a level 8, 9, or 10, it seems like no problem at all. It's easy to address that. And we're always going to have things that come up in our life. But if we're optimizing our performance and our health, and those challenges that arise are going to be easy to overcome versus overwhelming and feeling like our whole world is crumbling or falling apart. So I think this is all really valuable information. And one other thing I want to address briefly, because I think it's important for people to understand, And again, this goes back to, we hear a lot about microdosing, and I think people from what I'm hearing, people are experimenting a lot on their own, and they don't really know how to do it, and they aren't sure, and the results are kind of mixed. But the importance of having both intentions and preparation, but also integration afterwards. So I'd love for you just to speak to that briefly, the importance of really following a program or working with a facilitator or doing something that includes those as well.
Yeah. So thank you for all that. And so well said. We're talking about not only lifestyle shifts, which can feel very overwhelming. I mean, we're talking about behavioral changes here too, but more so, we're talking about paradigm shifts here, right?
Mhm.
And so, why are we doing this? Why are we doing not only the microdosing, but lifestyle tools and all of the things that really help support this transmutation, this embodiment piece, right? Why? And you said it already. It is to enable your soul and your spirit to fully inhabit your body. And so that you can be in the fullest expression of who you truly are and what and why you are here at this very moment in time, right? So we know that, look, again, talk therapy is important and it's just one component. I oftentimes hear that people think that integration is just talk therapy. Well, it's more than talk therapy, because if your body's in constant inflammation, for example, and you are doing all the talking in the world, is your body really healing? Are you really healing? Right. So, with respect to microdosing, again, one part of the whole. So, microdosing is more than just taking a small subperceptual amount of substance. It's about creating lasting, meaningful change in your life, right? True transformation, true transmutation comes from integrating not only the insights that it's gained through microdosing into your day to day life. This is then where the lifestyle tool comes in. And this is where a program like the microdosing method is there to empower you and educate you so that you can be self-sufficient and you can know what to do and not only resource yourself, but then you're resourcing your children, you're resourcing your loved ones, and then you're resourcing your community. And so it becomes this ripple out effect, right? And so, these lifestyle tools provide the necessary structure to help support you to embody these insights and really help ensure that microdosing can also become this catalyst for a sustainable way of wellness rather than just like this isolated experience, right? And so if you are more peaceful, if you are more clear, then you are making better decisions in your life. If you start making better decisions in your life, you become more in alignment, right? And when you become more in alignment, guess what? You're starting to live the best life possible you can live, right? So, I want to share an example of how this program has impacted our clients. And one example that I think of is a client of ours that came to us 2 months ago. He is a high performer, very successful entrepreneur in the construction industry. And, he came and said, my business is great. It's running by itself, but I want to continue to scale, but I don't have the enough energy to do that, right? I'm just kind of on autopilot right now. And, he was very interested in microdosing, but before we started even helping him with microdosing, we started just doing a whole overhaul around the nutrition aspect and really helping him learn how to eat right. And so we oftentimes think eating right is like eating a salad, or we know how to eat right. But again, what are those hidden culprits, right? So we started just focusing him on, again, all organic, grass-fed, meats, fruits, and vegetables. And we looked at how do we pick foods that are anti-inflammatory. And in 2 weeks' time, he's like, oh my God, I have so much more energy. My business has already started to grow because now I have all this energy. And as we're resourcing him, he's like, wow, something's here. I'm ready to microdose. So he started microdosing. He's like, wow, I feel so much calmer. I feel so much clearer. I'm making more aligned business decisions. I let go of a department in my company that now I'm able to generate even more revenue than before. My son, who wasn't really talking before and had some communication issue because we ended up finding that our house, the rental that we were living in, had all this mold, and it was impacting his behavior and his ability to speak. Now that I have learned how to eat this way, I have now taught my wife and prepared the right kind of meals for him. And now for the first time, he's able to communicate and to talk. I mean, this is what we're talking about here, right? So you're not only learning this for yourself and transforming and transmutating, you're doing it for your family and your loved ones, right? And then now you're able to show up better in the world. They're able to show up better in the world. And then you become medicine by your mere being your medicine. And then you enter a room and people are like, wow, what is it about this person? I just want to be around this person all the time because like I feel so much better when I walk away from them. Right. So this is what we're talking about, right? The empowering you with the tools and the education so that you can be self-sufficient. And underneath all of this, it doesn't matter. I mean, we have people and we have served clients of all levels of wealth, okay, from millionaires to billionaires. Fundamentally, what they value is freedom. Freedom. And so this is a return back to your agency, your sovereignty, understanding why you are here, understanding your unique soul purpose. Because we're shifting paradigms here. We're entering a new phase of awakening, even as humanity. We have to understand that there's so much that is under attack with humanity. And we have to be in a state of awareness and consciousness so that we can protect our freedom.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I know just throughout this interview and our conversation, I'm like, okay, I think I want to try this. Like, I've heard about it. I've dabbled a little bit, like maybe for a couple days, but yeah, this is really inspiring. And everything that you just described, I'm like, yes, I want more of that in my life. And also just to mention, I know you brushed over this at the beginning, but it's brilliant that this is all set up also partnered through a church for the spiritual aspect, but also the aspect of protection, meaning that, you can do this safely, you can do this legally. So I love that. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done in this, Jemie. And I'm really excited about it. I know I'm going to be having a continued conversation with you about this. And I would love, we're going to put down in the show notes the link for you to be able to really learn more about this microdosing method. I definitely would recommend, if you're listening right now, check out psychable.com. Jemie has a lot of great information on that website. So Jemie, is there any final messages or any other ways where people can get a hold of you if something that we've said today has resonated with them, or there's this spark of interest like there was in me of like, okay, let's go. I'm ready for this even more evolved paradigm shift and to step into this greater sense of self?
Yeah, there's several things. So you can visit us on psychable.com. We're on all of the social media channel. I'm sure Maya Rose will drop it in the show notes links for you guys, and also the link to our program for the microdosing method program. Right now, we have a 9,000 person wait list currently. And so what we've done to make it really fair is that we have designated a week for enrollment to take place. So the enrollment period is coming up at the end of the month. And so once you join the wait list, you're going to get priority as soon as the announcements roll out for when the program opens. So you're going to get priority access first. And so I would encourage you to sign up to the wait list. And yeah, I would just say, really feel into if this is something that really resonates with you. And if it does, we have really worked super hard in the last decade to be able to cultivate and curate a program like this. And there is a beautiful team of multidisciplinary experts that are all best in class, ready to be here to support you and to be of service. So
Well, Well, thank you again, Jemie. Every time I talk to you, I'm just in awe of your passion for this, your dedication and devotion to really serving humanity in this way that's helping everybody. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done. Thank you for who you are. And I'm really excited about microdosing. And if you're listening, hopefully you are too now. So until next time, we will see you soon. Sending a lot of love and prayers to all of you out there in your journey for higher evolution. Thank you, Jemie.
Thank you.
Thank you, legendary explorers, for joining us on this cosmic journey today.
Your curiosity fuels our exploration of psychedelics, sex, and the superconscious.
If you're hungry for more, dive into our website and connect with us on social media. All the links are in the show notes.
And stay tuned for our next mind-expanding episode. We can't wait to talk to you again in our next adventure.
Until then, remember, this is your life. So,
make it legendary.